Hello, welcome to the discussion at the Wire. Today we have with us Professor Aditya Nigam, who is a political scientist and keeps writing on various political issues on Kafila and in various media houses. So today we are discussing the political drama that has been unfolding in Bihar since yesterday. First Nitish Kumar resigned and then went on to become the chief minister today again with the support of Bharatiya Janata Party. So what does it mean for national politics? At one level we see the collapse of the Mahagathbandhan, and also we see a newer alliance and a success story which the BJP kind of is projecting. So we will have Professor Aditya Nigam talk about these issues. Welcome to the discussion, sir. So what are your first impressions about the political drama that has been unfolding since yesterday?
Actually, two things. The first thing is that it really bodes very ill for the future of democracy and democratic politics in India. It's like state after state where the BJP had lost elections, they're basically somehow by hook or by crook coming back to power, subverting the popular verdict.
Verdict, yes.
Right. So that happened in Goa, it happened in Arunachal, it's happening here. Just that the time lag here is more. In other places they managed it earlier. And the second thing, to which this is linked, equally worrisome, is that it seems to be tied to another very clear calculation, at least on behalf of Modi and Amit Shah, to not allow any opposition to be in the field in 2019. The idea is to basically break the backbone of every possible opposition by using this fraudulent thing of corruption and so on. Now, it's fine if you're raising corruption issues, but if you go by that logic, then what about Adityanath, who's got like at least 30-40 sections against him? What about the BJP chief minister and the Vyapam scam in Madhya Pradesh? What is the scenario of their own people in Bihar?
Yes.
So it is clearly not something where they're interested in fighting corruption and so on. This is a bogey which is being used. First it was used against Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi, where basically they tried their level best to implicate MLA after MLA, either in some corruption thing or setting up something or the other to frame them in different ways. Sometimes it was a woman making a complaint against some MLA, sometimes it was some... So that seems to be the larger game plan, of which this is a fructification. And these two things together, I think, combine to make the situation really dangerous.
So of course you're talking about the selectivism that BJP has been practicing when dealing with issues of corruption. So you also quoted some examples. Recently we had an MLA in Madhya Pradesh Assembly, Narottam Mishra, who was implicated in a paid news scam. And there are also other issues. For example, Anandiben Patel's daughter, Anar Patel, is alleged to have gained a lot of benefits in her businesses when Anandiben Patel and Narendra Modi were the chief minister. The CBI is obviously not going after these people. So do you have anything to say?
Amit Shah himself has been
convicted cases against him. So, but do you think that there's this kind of politicization, or kind of how the BJP is trying to... BJP was a huge critique during the Congress when it called the CBI a caged parrot. So do you think something like that happening, or that instrumentalization of CBI?
Yes. Look, there should be no doubt about this, that this is at some level a continuation of the way in which CBI was used by the Congress, but at another level taken to a completely different, qualitatively different level.
Do you think it as vindictive?
It is definitely vindictive. There is absolutely no doubt about that in my mind, and I think not in most people's minds. But for a moment, I just want to come back to the drama since yesterday, because even that gives you a sense of the way in which or the desperation with which things are happening. So Nitish resigns in the evening, and today 5 o'clock was the time fixed for the swearing in.
Swearing in, yes.
Right. In between, and this I am going now by Tejaswi's tweets, but there seems to have been, by 11 o'clock they were called, Congress and RJD and some this is the claim made by RJD, that there are some JDU MLAs also going to join, and looks like the Pasmanda MLAs, Pasmanda leaders have opposed it.
Ali Anwar has opposed it. In fact, Sharad Yadav also.
Sharad Yadav seems to have opposed it. So if that is the case, the fact that they were, I'm assuming that this is a fact now, that at 11 o'clock they were asked to come and take oath on the basis of their claim of a majority.
Yes.
Then at desperation is such that at midnight you go and get instead of 11 at 10 o'clock to go and get the swearing in done. It's like as if you are trying to keep your MLAs from dissipating, your strength from dissipating. You somehow want to keep it. This has actually become a joke if it were not so cynical, if it were actually not going to have disastrous effect on what's going to unfold in Bihar now. Exactly what is happening in UP is now going to start. Jharkhand is already going on, but like not just lynchings and so on, which are going to increase. But I think overall the Bihar situation has been less communalized than UP.
Yes.
But now I think that's going to.
But with the how the things have unfolded, the Bihar mandate, especially also for the Mahagathbandhan, was quite massive, and it comprehensively defeated the BJP. So, do you think that BJP is somehow kind of where it has not managed to win, is kind of practicing some sort of cynical politics and trying to break the existing coalition or existing parties? And this is what, because recently we saw Tathagat Satpathy in Odisha also claiming in a tweet that BJP is trying to engineer a sort of split AIDMK style, and Tamil Nadu also we all know that how BJP was kind of instrumental in splitting the party into two groups. And exactly in a similar way we see in Bihar, then it has engineered some sort of a coup which goes completely against the electoral verdict that was given. So what do you have to say about
this? I entirely agree with that assessment, and I think this is, in fact, if there is any Gujarat model, it is not about economy and economic development. It is about how to do political management, how to keep the opposition ineffective, keep them embroiled in cases or in jail or whatever. And that is what they are actually now replicating at the all India level with different parties and different coalitions, trying to break them, trying to engineer splits within them, and how do you engineer a split? This is the simple thing. This is a case on which there was not even an FIR for, it's supposed to be 2004. From what I gathered, the FIR is only registered in 2017.
Yeah, they're all old cases which are being brought back
of which there is not even an FIR.
FIR.
So basically all these are being now, one could say that these should be investigated and so on and so, that perfectly fine with that. But that is then used by Nitish, who's of course from the time of demonetization, it's been quite clear that he's been sort of in between, sometimes here, sometimes there. His earlier long stint with NDA has not been forgotten yet. So it is almost like Nitish Kumar telling BJP, okay, if you get him framed, then he can take the high moral ground and get out of it by resigning. And it looks so patently scripted and stage managed.
Yeah, but how do you see Nitish Kumar's role in the whole? Why was it necessary for Nitish Kumar to fall into the whole trap that BJP has set for the Mahagathbandhan, because he has not been giving any indications except the last few months. In fact, since last 1 year, he has been very critical of both Modi and RSS, and in fact he gave a call for RSS Mukt Bharat also. So, but suddenly since April 15th, when the BJP started to kind of make charges against Tejasvi Yadav and Lalu and his family, so suddenly he kind of showed different kind of political impulses, and he supported Kovin first, and then skipped a lunch which opposition had hosted, and all those kind of indications he's been giving. Do you think that it wasn't a call of the conscience as Nitish has claimed, or kind of planned? Do you see any possibility of this split being a planned affair?
Entirely, and I don't think it is a call of conscience. Actually, it is certainly not a call of conscience, so far as I am concerned. The way I look at it, actually, this is you see, partly I think the coming together of the Gathbandhan, coming together of Nitish and Lalu was under pressure from below. See, one thing which is continuously going to bog Bihar politics for future also, and which was what brought them together in the first place in this round, was that everything that backward politics has achieved since Karpuri Thakur's 78, everything stands to be destroyed, because this is once again the upper caste dominance being reinstated. Nitish will be able to do nothing. Nitish will play second fiddle. He is an ineffective leader so far. When it comes to BJP, he actually has the veneer of a smart, calculating, shrewd leader, but I really don't think. I think BJP has all the while used him, and they're going to use him.
In fact, what you are saying kind of takes me back to the previous Nitish government with the BJP before the 2000, before he came out of the NDA. So, in fact, many of the reports said around that time, when Nitish was the chief minister and Sushil Modi was the deputy chief minister before 2014, the upper caste had a free hand, and the OBC people, OBC and social justice politics kind of was relegated to the background. So do you see that kind of coming back again?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think this is going to be a big setback for whatever has been achieved by backward caste politics in Bihar. And I think in a way Bihar's even though there is no separate Dalit formation of the kind you have in BSP in UP, but in a way Bihar's backward politics has been quite central in halting the overall juggernaut of Hindutva, and B, setting an agenda for, see, the whole mandal and everything, and also a whole lot of this thing. In fact, Bihar has been very crucial in the setting of the backward caste agenda, in whether it was in terms of reservation, whether in terms of
So, but at this point, while we are talking about backward caste politics, and so BJP also has been claiming that they have been successful in fusing mandal and kamandal politics, in both in representation of leaders and also in practice on the ground. So, so for BJP has been projecting a kind of alternative to Mahagathbandhan kind of politics. So, do you have some sort of
See, I think this is completely misrepresent the situation, because it's one thing to get backward caste leaders on board for Kamandal politics, for their kind of politics. It is not a merger of Kamandal and Mandal. These are two impossible things to merge. The whole point of a Mandal kind of politics is to split the fiction of a united Hindu community. There is no united Hindu community. And the idea of Hindutva is to basically create that community. There is absolutely no way you can bring them together. What they are doing and what they have successfully done is to get on board individual backward caste leaders, some places Dalit leaders, to be like Shahnawaz Khan and Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, some token representatives of the Dalits and OBCs within an overall Hindutva project. Let's make no mistake about this, that it is a Hindutva project. There is no coming together of the.
So, well, if we come back to Bihar again and see that most of the charges, though Nitish kind of resigned, mostly the corruption was the biggest issue behind his resignation. So, what do you have to talk? How within this backward class politics, Nitish resignation pegged it on the corruption charges against Lalu and his failure to come clean on it. So, how do you see within this backward class politics the charges of corruption, and what role does corruption charges play in this broader ideological politics? We have a piece today this morning that ideology is.
I read that. No, actually, I agree with that. You see, the thing is, there is a shift again taking place from the time of the India Against Corruption and the formation of the Aam Aadmi Party, when corruption was at that point called it an empty signifier, in the sense that a whole lot of things were being articulated under the rubric of corruption. In a way, Aam Aadmi Party's own governance strategy also moves along that line, right? You can actually totally reset the financial game plan if you can plug the leakages. So they're actually been able to raise money where economists thought you could not ever raise money. They've been able to raise money and have surplus budgets, and without any problem, they're actually managing to do a whole lot of things which were thought impossible by neoliberal economists and others. But from there, the form that now corruption is taken, it's simply stick to beat your opposition into submission. It is not actually about corruption. It is a mistake to call it corruption. This is what they want to portray it, but if it is corruption, then what about Vyapam? If it is corruption, what about all the BJP? Every day there are stories about corruption of BJP leaders, from starting from Kerala to Bengal to and in fact, in the run-up to demonetization, the amount of money that BJP had put in to buy land in different parts of Bihar, it's all there in the public domain. Exactly. So that's not corruption. But once we concede that this is corruption, I think partly that's where the game is given over. Now it's no longer used in the sense in which it was being used during the IAC or Aam Aadmi Party phase. It is being used specifically as a political weapon.
So,
let me just also mention that it is not very different in that sense from the way in which in Brazil, Dilma Rousseff and Lula are being framed for corruption by the most corrupt elite.
Yes. Right. Okay. So we see some sort of similarities here too.
There is something there.
Something there. Yeah. So also now, if we talk about opposition, because opposition, there was a big talk about opposition unity, which seemed to be kind of winning at certain occasions and also failing in many occasions. So and Mahagathbandhan especially symbolized that vantage point from where this opposition unity could take off. And before UP elections also, people were talking about if BSP or Samajwadi Party could come together, it could So now with this Mahagathbandhan collapsing, how do you see opposition taking off now?
See, that's the sad part. I think on a slightly lighter note, what I've been seeing in the social media since morning is people recalling Ram Guha's suggestion of making Nitish the figurehead of the new reinvented Congress. So that goes. But the unfortunate thing, I think, and this is where we have to now sort of reframe our idea of what future we are looking at. We're now probably not looking at 2019 as a major possibility.
There's only 1 year and 10 months till the next elections.
And the complete bankruptcy of the political class and of the political parties is there for all of us to see. And I don't think that if at all something happens by some, like 2004 was a unexpected windfall, not because of the political parties, but because people basically went and voted against them. If something like that happens, it happens. But otherwise, I think this is now time to think in terms of a political agenda, in terms of pinning down parties to certain kinds of positions, certain kinds of stances. My own thing is, for example, that apart from developing some kind of public debate on certain issues, just imagine the kind of thing that happened in Britain, for example, with Corbyn. That actually the public debate in a way forced the Labour Party also to change. See, Labour Party also, there was influx of new people, new agenda with them, a new agenda and so on. Here I don't see this happening to any of our parties, but definitely a robust public debate on key issues is absolutely essential to even pin down those parties who claim to be the alternative for to the BJP. They will have to be pinned down to certain kinds of programmatic things. You cannot leave them now to decide the program or the agenda. That agenda has to be set independently of
so
that.
we have until now, in the last 3 years, ever since Modi has come to power, we have seen that lack of that public agenda. So the opposition unity was kind of conceived in more in terms of electoral arithmetic, caste-based alliances rather than key issues. And in fact, Nitish Kumar also pointed out that the opposition does not have that kind of an alternative narrative, which he was supposedly trying to build, which reflected in his broader optical game of imposing prohibition or those kind of, or good governance, the claims to good governance. So what do you have to say about that? And the following question from where I can take off from this question is, could RJD done things a little differently in trying to save this alliance? And how do you see this Nitish Kumar's claim that opposition has no agenda and no alternative political narrative?
Let me leave the RJD part out because I'm not really competent to comment on that. I don't know what exactly, the day-to-day nitty-gritty of the thing. But definitely this part, there is a yes side to it and a no side to it. First, the no side, which is to say that even if you have the best alternative narrative, if the entire media is captured, if the entire media will only drum out one narrative day and night, it's not a question of कि आपके पास narrative नहीं है. That's not the point. The point is that you have to find ways of moving out of that stranglehold of what by and large has now become a propaganda machine. It's very few spaces, some online forums here and there, sometimes some newspaper, this, that, but very few, which actually are able to function in some kind of as a forum for an oppositional discourse. Then the yes part. The yes part is definitely there are problems, and there are, over the last 20 years, there hasn't actually been any serious thinking about any single economic issue. There has been a consensus across the board from the left to the right. Minor, Hindi में जैसे 19-20 का फर्क कहते हैं, that apart, there has been no substantial difference between parties from across the left to the right of the spectrum on any of the economic issues. So in that sense,
the broader neoliberal consensus.
Neoliberal consensus, what do you do about industrialization in the era of climate change? Can you just go on harping the same things you were doing 50 years ago, 100 years ago, go on doing what economics textbooks have taught you? Is there any public debate on that? When Jeremy Corbyn says we're going to create 300, how many? 30 million or something new employment through alternative energy sources and so all that. There is some thought which has gone into that formulation. It's not simply coming out of your hat. There is a way in which today I was reading Britain is already thinking, now this is not just the Labour Party, right? Britain is thinking of phasing out petrol and diesel cars by 2040. What is the left doing here? They want a nano car plant. That's their idea. A nano car plant or a chemical industrial hub is their idea. Even till now, there is not one word of self-criticism or saying that we have rethought the issue. So there is a problem there. In political terms, 2019, I think two very key things need to be done, raised. Repeal of sections 499, 500, which is the criminal defamation of IPC. I'm forgetting the sections, but I think it's for 499, 500. And repeal of 124A, which is the sedition section of the IPC. Unless you do this, there will not be any democracy left by the time of the next election. This has to be taken up as a priority question. But I think that there is actually no will left in the existing current political parties to even think concretely about any of these issues.
And especially, again, coming back to kind of real politics, we know the broad outlines of why the RJD and JDU split. So, do you think that politics is not about ifs and buts, but still whether if Lalu would have pulled out, the people are suggesting, if Lalu would have pulled out of the government and extended support to JDU government, or and from outside, or he would have asked Tejaswi to resign on the issue, so he would not have let Nitish Kumar attain that kind of moral high ground that he has presently.
I think this preparation of Nitish's has been going on much longer. I don't think anything would have prevented this.
Anything would have prevented it. So, and also we are kind of forgetting that Congress also has 27 MLAs, the integral part of the Mahagathbandhan. And as a pan-Indian party with its presence in across the states, could it have been a better, say, truce maker between the parties? And could it have kind of played a much more instrumental role in preventing this mishap to happen?
Could have in a hypothetical sense, but Congress itself is it's a rudderless, lost organization. I mean, they became part of the Gathbandhan, but they really don't have any vision or any idea left. So that kind of thing requires a political sagacity and an experience, which currently the Congress does not.
The leadership in the Congress doesn't have right now. So, but as a result, after yesterday's, now there's a new government in Bihar, same chief minister, but new government with Sushil Modi as the chief minister. So they must be a happy lot now, the BJP, and especially Sushil Modi, who kind of re-emerged since April 15th with a host of charges against. So he was also kind of being very selective. He was at one level where he was attacking Lalu and his family. He did not utter a word against Nitish. So which kind of indicated many things that had to happen. But also this thing. So now the division in terms of how BJP would project it is in terms of ideology is between good governance and corrupt governance. So in terms of governance, or how do you rate Nitish himself or other BJP governments, and how is it that BJP has been successfully kind of appropriating the whole honest governance thing while the other parties are not being able to do that?
See, I've been saying this for a long time that the BJP's rise is entirely due to the collapse of the previous parties, traditional parties. So they cannot be the answer to this party unless they seriously reinvent themselves. Right? In a way, BJP under Modi reinvented itself. BJP before Modi was equally ramshackle and useless in a way. With all the oldies, they've pushed out, there's a new crop of leadership, you basically rearrange the whole thing, and a much more strident Hindutva agenda has been brought to the fore. So in a way, Modi has recast the BJP for a new role. That has not happened with any of the other parties, and the other parties don't seem to be even bothering about changing. And unless that happens, BJP, anything it does will score over them. Totally discredited Congress, left, this, that. Who cares? Who cares?
There's a criticism against Nitish which are going on at both serious levels and also at a jocular level, kind of. Why is that Nitish understood that RJD is a corrupt party now and not 2 years before? Because the corruption charges against RJD are quite old, and yet it kind of it was political convenient for him to have this Mahagathbandhan and then switch to another side at another appropriate time, so the opportunism of BJP and its allies are also for everyone to see. Right. But for example, Modi had promised 1.25 crores as Bihar package, but after it lost, there was no talk of it. Now in Assam, there is a kind of uproar against the BJP government for not spending enough on flood relief there as it is spending in Gujarat. So this selectivism is there for everyone to see, but it's still not getting that kind of traction in larger media debates or political narratives. So
I think unless there's some kind of invention of the various political formations, that's not, or completely new political formation can emerge. I mean, AAP also suddenly emerged out of thin air, so it's not impossible. One thing you have to grant, the Modi government has produced enough young crop of leaders throughout, from Delhi to Gujarat to Saharanpur, who can actually take on the, who knows.
So while finally while we are talking about broader political narratives and what impact would it have on national politics, I'm also kind of interested in knowing how the break in Mahagathbandhan would affect the caste-based alliances in Bihar, because these parties were essentially caste-based alliances which scored over the BJP's upper caste alliances. And now with again this rearrangement, how do you think that people of Bihar will react to this? Will they kind of, I've been talking to many people there, some of them feel betrayed. The upper caste people have already been claiming that now it's a better government. So at ground level, how do you see?
See, I no longer have that faith in the people, I must confess. The upper castes and the upper classes are always more conscious about their interests, and the poorer you are, the more resigned to fate you are, the more susceptible to all kinds of bazigari you are. So I really don't, I mean, the whole demonetization thing was what? 150 people died, and election after election you keep winning. Now, there are other factors also, including the fact that there is no opposition, and Bangla में कहते हैं खाली मैदान में गोल मारना. Basically, when there's no opposing team, so that is one kind of one reason. But the number of people who are actually standing in queues and facing all the problems were still not ready to be critical. Says something about the way in which this will never happen with a rich person. Rich person or a upper caste person, they know their interests and they will never go against their interests. But I think
I think it's all probably I am willing to kind of say that you're sounding a little cynical about how people behave, but people without any power, their lack of access to power corridors through last 50-60 years perhaps might have affected them.
You may be right, but I am really appalled when I see the farmers of Tamil Nadu, sitting in Jantar Mantar, half naked, eating rats to, attract attention of the media and of the government. It is appalling. People are, farmers after farmers committing suicides in thousands. Nobody wants to come out on the roads and protest. They don't want to come out in the election and vote on the basis of that. You will vote for some Pakistan में कि वो बैंड बजा देगा और इसके साथ वो कर देगा, उस पे you are going to vote. You are not going to actually vote on the fact that there is a serious agrarian crisis, there are thousands of people who have committed suicide. You subject your own self to this humiliation. कि आप जंतर मंतर में चूहे खा रहे हैं. And that is supposed to be, I really, you may call it cynical, but I really think there is something to be confronted here, some reality which we are running away from. It's very easy to say I have faith in the people. I don't.
Okay. So, I don't want to stop at this in this answer. There's many more things to, I think about, and how the Bihar situation shapes up right now. At present, we are getting some news that some of the JDU MLAs are not I do not concur with Nitish Kumar's decision to support the BJP. But right now, at the moment, this is a huge win for the BJP in Bihar. It has engineered the split on charges of corruption, which people may interpret as selectivism and or real political game. But at present, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much.
Let me just conclude with one thing.
Yes.
So, you've already done the conclusion, but since I do not want to also end on a pessimistic note, I think there are enough forces. I mentioned 2, 3, 4 different points of where the new kinds of things are emerging, that I do expect that some churning will happen, but that will happen outside the parties. That something else is going to emerge.
The larger people's movement sort of thing under a broader umbrella. So let's see how it goes from here. Thank you so much, Professor Nigam. This is Ajoy Ashirwad from The Wire. Thanks a lot for logging in.